Well, good morning, everybody. It is so great to see all of you out here today at beautiful Woodland Cemetery. This is a beautiful Saturday. I don't know about you, but I was concerned about the weather. And lo and behold, the sun came out. And this is a beautiful day to be out here in beautiful Woodland Cemetery. I want to thank the members of the Woodland Cemetery Restoration Foundation for inviting me to serve in this capacity this morning with you. I'm really quite honored to have been asked to serve, and it's my pleasure to be here with everybody today. I want to welcome all of us here to Woodland, this beautiful cemetery out here on the eastern edge of the city of Richmond here in Henrico County. A lot of work has taken place out here in Woodland Cemetery over the years. It's been amazing. And for those of you who have been out here years before, it doesn't take much to just look around and see how beautiful this cemetery has turned out to be. The work that has been accomplished by the many, many committed volunteers, and the work that has been accomplished under the direction of the foundation. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Marvin Harris and all of his colleagues. It has been absolutely amazing, and I think that we should give them all a round of applause. So we're going to get started with the program. And to get started, I'm going to begin by sharing with you 5 words. And these 5 words, I want you to think about them as the program progresses. Preservation, keeping something from damage or decay. Conservation, protecting something in its natural environment. Restoration, repairing or renovating something back to its original condition. Interpretation, explaining the meaning of something. And finally, beautification, improving the appearance of something back to its original place. Keep those 5 words with you as we go through the program. Preservation, conservation, restoration, interpretation, and beautification. And at the end of the program, you'll know what we're talking about when we talk about Woodland Cemetery. I'm happy to introduce Miss Cora Harvey Armstrong, a internationally recognized gospel artist, as she brings to us our national anthem. Ms. Armstrong.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has brought us, and sing a song full of the hope that the present it taught us. Brave facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt when the days of hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to this place for which our fathers sighed for. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered, and we have come treading the path through the blood of the slaughtered. For from our gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, God who has brought us all thus far on the way, God who has by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where you brought thee, and lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world we forget thee. Shadowed beneath your hand, may we forever stand true to you, God, true to our native land.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cora. That was beautiful. I don't know about you, every time I hear the lift every voice and sing, chills come up in me and often makes me want to shed a tear every time we hear that beautiful national anthem. Lift every voice and sing, till heaven and earth ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. What are those words? Preservation, conservation, restoration, interpretation, and beautification here at Woodland Cemetery. We'd like to say good morning to another nationally recognized artist who is with us today, Mr. Jason Morantz, and his wonderful parents, Mr. and Mrs. Tom and June Morantz. They are one of several committed volunteers here at this beautiful cemetery. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, this cemetery wouldn't be as beautiful as it is today if it wasn't for committed volunteers. Some of us might run up in here one day and cut the grass and trim a bush, and that's that. But you know, when you're dealing with a cemetery, you got to come out every week, because that weed that you cut down on Saturday, it'll be right back next Saturday, and you've got to keep coming back at it. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Morantz, for your dedicated work here at Woodland, and thank you also for Jason, who is locally homegrown here in the Richmond region, Hanover County. We thank him so much for the great work that he has done, not only here in this city of Richmond, the state of Virginia, but nationally as well. Let's move on in the program this morning. John Mitchell. Is John Mitchell here? He hasn't arrived yet. Haven't seen him yet. That's fine. And Reverend Nelson, has he arrived here yet? On his way. Okay. Monica Callahan is with us. She is the Deputy County Manager for Henrico County. And again, much of the work that you see out here in the beautification and the restoration and the conservation would not have been accomplished without the work and the commitment and the partnership with Henrico County. Let's hear Monica Callahan.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to just say Woodland is Henrico. Each of you are Henrico. Our commitment, our dedication to the families of those who are interred here, this is why we do what we do. Our commitment to Mr. Harris and the many, many volunteers of the Woodland Restoration Foundation, their commitment, their passion for all the words that I won't remember, that we've heard and that we will continue to hear this morning is the reason why Henrico is so committed to working alongside of the Woodland Restoration Foundation, Mr. John Shuck and Mr. Marvin Harris, as well as Miss Kathleen. The great work that all of the folks are doing here, it is infectious, really, is what it is. And we have a commitment as Henrico County to support in any way that we can. We have been, since the start of the process of the restoration, and we will continue. We have a commitment, not just financial, because anybody can stroke a check, but we also have employees who come out here to do their community service. We bring out those who are in our justice system who have been mandated to have volunteer hours in lieu of serving time. Those folks come out here, and we have those who are actually incarcerated who are a part of our Orbits program with the sheriff's office that get to come and to do work more hands-on, some of the heavier duty work that come out here, and they're here on a continual basis. So I would dare say we have people in the cemetery representing Henrico County every week that the weather permits. In addition to that, lawn equipment, anytime that there is a piece of equipment that Mr. Harris needs or the volunteers needs, he will reach out to me. I have no idea what it is, what it looks like, but we'll find one. So any type of equipment that we are surplusing or that we have bought new and we are able to donate to the foundation, we are doing that. So our recreation and parks, I want to thank our PR folks who are out here today making sure that the story continues, right? So as we look out at all these graves, we know that each person interred on these grounds, all these acres, they were a family member. They were a mom, a dad, an auntie, a community member, a butler of many governors. My family, I have a great-grandmother and a great-grandfather and a great-aunt that's buried on these grounds. So all of us have a connection to who is here, and it's in our DNA, those of us who are descendants of those who are interred here, that we keep the dignity, that we keep the respect, and we do that by coming to events like this. We do this like donating and contributing to the foundation. And we do that through the work that I get to do every day in Henrico County as the Deputy County Manager for Community Affairs. Through these public-private partnerships, we are able to move the needle. We are able to keep the dignity and the respect of those, as I said, and the families who want to come here and be able to see a clean, welcoming place when they come to visit their family members. So I just thank you all for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to address you. And as you heard, Reverend Nelson, who is a member of our Board of Supervisors, will be here shortly. But I just appreciate you all being here, and I thank our Henrico team for always being so committed and supportive of Woodland and all the efforts that take place here. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Monica, for those very kind words. And of course, it takes all of us to keep this work on and to have this cemetery as beautiful as it is today. And there's many times as I've been out here knocking around John Jasper and knocking around over there with Reverend A.W. Brown, who was the pastor that actually baptized me in Six Mount Zion, and to see how far we've come with the work out here. And there are some photographs and pictures around you of before and after, what it looked like before and what it looked like after. And it really is very heartwarming to see that this work that has gone on and continues on, that people have not forgotten it, that come out and do something and then forget it, but that we really keep it up over and over and over again. Because Woodland Cemetery, like many African American cemeteries, not only in the Richmond region area, but around this country, they tell stories. They tell stories of the lives of African Americans. On one hand, prominent African Americans, plenty of them are scattered out here at Woodland, but they also tell the stories of people who weren't so prominent and their lives that they had and the contributions that they made to the community and to all of the people that were around them. And so it's really very wonderful to be involved in a project that celebrates the contributions and the lives of African Americans here in Richmond. Many people, ladies and gentlemen, many people do not even know that this cemetery is out here. And so we've got work to do. I've got work to do. I got to work a little bit harder. You got to work a little bit harder too, and let people know that this cemetery is out here. And cemeteries are not what we used to think they are. I don't want to go to that cemetery. It's so dark and gloomy. Oh, no, no, no. Ladies and gentlemen, we have turned that corner. Cemeteries are beautiful. Cemeteries are a tourist place. I don't know about you, when I travel to various cities, if I can, I will take a cemetery tour. And some of these cemeteries are breathtaking. Just go over there in Oregon Hill at Hollywood Cemetery. It's breathtaking over there, and they see thousands of tourists every year. We want to see thousands of tourists every year out here at Woodland Cemetery because we've got something out here to share. There's a story to tell. What are those 5 words again? Preservation, conservation, restoration, interpretation, and beautification. Okay, I hear you out there. All right now. I just jotted them down and said, well, I hope this goes over well today. We'll see how this works. All right, let's see. Who's next? Kathleen. Kathleen Harrell. You know what? When it comes to volunteers, Kathleen, she sits in the front of the class. You've been in those old classes where the smart people sat up front and then us dumb ones sat in the back? Kathleen sits up front where the teacher is. Come on, Kathleen, because you've got your story.
Too funny. No, I was actually hiding in the back. Thank you, Benjamin. Hello, and thank you for joining us on this very special day and event. My name is Kathleen Harrell, and I'm the Vice President of the Woodland Restoration Foundation and a volunteer coordinator. I've been volunteering at Woodland for the past 4.5 years, and since then we've hosted thousands of volunteers and held hundreds of work days. Inevitably, the first question that most new volunteers ask me after we've settled into a job is, so what brought you here? And it's a reasonable question, it's understandable, and one that I'm always happy to answer. I don't have family buried here. I'm not originally from Richmond. I'm a first grade public school teacher without any background in landscaping or groundskeeping. I'm allergic to poison ivy, prone to getting ticks, and very scared of spiders, all of which we have a lot of here. So what first brought me out here is Arthur Ashe. I do not follow tennis, but I've always been inspired by his humanitarian efforts. I've learned through a documentary that he was buried in an out-of-the-way and somewhat neglected cemetery. I also did not know that Woodland existed. Being one who always enjoyed exploring cemeteries, I felt compelled to visit. And the moment that I arrived in the summer of 2018, I knew that this place was unlike any other. The grass was up to my waist, briars and trees covered what I assumed were monuments. Vines tangled between trees, and vegetation formed tunnels over roads. Cars were parked in unusual places, and I naively assumed that the drivers were taking time there to reflect on times with loved ones. I wasn't fully understanding the scope of what I was seeing, but I knew that I could not leave there and never come back without doing something. So that fall, after thinking about Woodland and researching the history, looking into the ownership situation, I decided to take action. I rounded up friends and family. I reached out to John Shuck and Bill Slavin, both of whom had previously volunteered. And we held our first tiny work day. We posted pictures of our progress on Facebook, and soon our small, under the radar, because we didn't really have permission to be here, group of volunteers gained some momentum and extra hands. And soon Willie Montague and Kimberly Cousins and Marie Cousins joined us. Local businesses donated hand tools, and we raised enough money to buy one push mower. We did all that we could to cut and clear and maintain the grounds. However, it was very difficult to keep up with the growth. It was the summer of 2020 that Marvin Harris began his efforts to purchase Woodland. In the effort to restore it to, Sorry, I lost my page. In the effort to restore it to its intended beauty, that fall the mission was accomplished and the Woodland Restoration Foundation was formed. From that moment forward, the work took off at Woodland. When I started working at Woodland and people would ask how long it would take to have the entire cemetery cleared, my only response was an eternity. But as you look around today, you can understand why now I have to eat those words. Through our group of ordinary people from different backgrounds and experiences, we've come together to accomplish something extraordinary. We've cleared most of the cemetery and we're moving into maintenance mode. We'll continue volunteering every week to protect and preserve this sacred place, to honor the people who are buried here, and to work to reconnect families. We're so pleased that you're here today, and we hope that you'll return again to this beautiful sacred space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. And thank you also for your continued and committed volunteer and service to Woodland Cemetery. The cemetery is the better because of your commitment to keep this cemetery. What are those 5 words we're going to keep the cemetery? Preservation, conservation, restoration, interpretation, and beautification. My goodness, okay. John Mitchell is a name that is connected to this cemetery because it was in 1917 that the late John Mitchell envisioned this cemetery out here and was very much involved in creating Woodland Cemetery. And we're very happy to have a descendant of John Mitchell. Here you get, where did he go? I'm gonna go through these 5 words again now. You better watch out here. We're happy to have a descendant of John Mitchell here with us today, John Mitchell. And he has been very involved in restoring African American cemeteries, and he can certainly is a wealth of information when it comes to this whole business of preservation and restoration and conservation and interpretation and beautification, because he has been working at it and working at it and working at it. And so it's with great pleasure we bring on Mr. John Mitchell for a few words today.
Hello, everybody. I want to just do this the proper way. There's a wealth of information printed about Richmond history, but the best history usually comes from our elders, our ancestors. We kind of are reluctant to use the word worship of the ancestors. That's how the our African ancestors referred to it, the worship. And I know nowadays when you use the word worship, it's like, oh Lord, we don't do that. Well, worship is honor. Remember, when they say honor your mother and your father are your ancestors. Their parents are your ancestors. So we really need to make sure that we seek out their words, and in this particular case, not put words in their mouth. So I want to read something to you that was in the Richmond Planet. And it's just the first few sentences. You may go all around Richmond, or you may walk through it, but you will not find a more beautiful place for the purpose and easy reach of all parts of it than Woodland Cemetery. And this is the part I really like. Our white friends have felt keenly the criticisms we have made over the loss of the old cemeteries in Barton Heights, and they have ungrudgingly, I love that word, ungrudgingly, approved of the site we have selected and called it Woodland Cemetery. It doesn't take much to read between the lines of what went on after Reconstruction, but we have a tendency at times to see it through the eyes of animosity, and that is not always the case. John Mitchell Jr., when he saw an opportunity, he also saw a need, and when he saw a need, he saw an opportunity. So when he actually was able to make this one of the most beautiful spots in town, you have to remember, he's doing it to honor his ancestors. And people ask me all the time, well, then why isn't John Mitchell buried here? Well, it's because if you look at the line, my great-great-grandmother passed away first while Evergreen was open. And you used to go up, you would be able to see to the top of the hill, you would be able to see Maggie Walker's cross of St. Luke. And over to the side, you see the large angel, an angel which has been knocked down at least 4 times over the past 50 years. But luckily, there are people careful enough to actually bring it back up. But you can actually think of the fact that his mother was buried there, and then he goes through a point where, unfortunately, my great-great-grandfather, Thomas Mitchell, died in his 30s. He was buried there. So we have this whole thing going on about we need another cemetery. John Mitchell Jr. gets this cemetery here. It's a beautiful spot. And then when he passes, he gets buried there because he wanted to be buried next to his mother. But there are Mitchells buried here too. And this is one of the few places that I've actually been to a service other than Riverview or Mount Calvary or something like that, because my family has always wanted to be buried in Evergreen and or Woodland. So we still have plots out here. I say all that to say this. Your families are buried, they are interned among giants. And if you believe that, you have to tell your children that. You have to show your children that. And one of the best ways to do that is to remind them that your mother and your father, their mothers and their fathers, and on going back during Reconstruction, in their 20s and their 30s, I want to curse when I say this because you'd understand it, but the things that they did in their 20s and their 30s, we have to remember, those were those golden years. We remember them with the gray hair and the pot belly, catching up with them and everything else, but we have to remind them the people buried here, they were young souls, young spirits with wisdom, and were able to do magnificent things, and there's no reason our young people can't do the same thing. So don't deify our ancestors. Just remember they're our ancestors. They have the answers to the questions, and you just have to make sure that you share it with your own kids. Please do that. There you go. That's right. Get them right here. Nudge them to the side. Do your research. There are millions, I'm talking about in America, but here, thousands of stories that need to be told. We've got novels out here. We've got music out here. We've got inspiration for all of these different things. So the next time your child needs to do a report, they need to come to Woodland Cemetery and talk to somebody here. They need to talk with the Woodland Foundation and talk with them. Find out these stories. And you know stories are really written based on truth, and then they take history, add it to that truth, and they may become fiction, but they're based in truth. And I think as Black people, African Americans, we are not taking advantage of that art form. We really need to do that. So stop writing these boring book reports about Martin Luther King based off of what your teachers told you, and start writing stories about your family, their family, and friends, and get it from great-grandma and Mima and Papa, all right? God bless y'all, and keep the work on out here.
All right, everybody. Okay. We have with us this morning Reverend Tyrone Nelson. And Reverend Nelson is the Vice Chairman of the Henrico Board of Supervisors representing the Varina District. Now, Reverend Nelson is the pastor of the 6 Mount Zion Baptist Church, where I am so honored to serve as the historian. And looking at our church's history, I have to look at everything. The first pastor, the Reverend John Jasper, is right there. Reverend A.W. Brown is over there, who baptized me in 1964. And now, the pastor that I'm with now, the Reverend Tyrone Nelson, as the pastor of our church, and as the vice chair of the Henrico Board of Supervisors, Reverend Tyrone Nelson.
Good morning. Still good morning. And I thought Benny was going to put me in a grave out here too and say Reverend Nelson is buried over there. So we are, blessed to have one of the gifts as it relates to history. The handling of history is a historian at our church, and many churches, not just in the city but in the Commonwealth across the country, reach out to Benjamin Ross to figure out how to curate their own legacies, tell their own stories. And so we are thankful that we have one of those gifts right here in the city, and his family has been a part of our church for decades. It's an honor. I thought we were just coming out today. I didn't expect to bring greetings or remarks, so I probably would have dressed a little differently, but I'm here on behalf of the Board of Supervisors for 6 Mount Zion Baptist Church. I think you've already heard from Monica Callahan, and so I'll make my remarks brief. We've been working with the foundation and with Mr. Harris for the past close to 3 years now, and Henrico County is invested from the beginning with the purchase to the cleaning up of the project to continued financial support and volunteers from employees and coordinating with other activities and groups. Henrico County has been over the past few years, is and will be a continued teammate, partner, contributor to the not just the restoration, because I think we are making considerable progress or restoration, but with the upkeep. And so that's our word, that as long as we can, we will. And we're excited about what Woodland looks like now and the preservation of African American history and its legacy. So thank you for giving us a chance to talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. John Shuck. Now, you know, there's always that person that just leads the way. And I don't remember exactly when I met John Shuck. I think it was at a seminar that was being put on by the University of Richmond. And it was a number of years ago when he brought up the fact of his interest in preserving African American cemeteries and his concern about, at that time, the condition of these black cemeteries. And I kind of scratched my head and said, "Oh, you really got your work cut out for you." Well, needless to say, you know, he's one of those, yes, hard work, I'll take it on. Difficult work, show it to me. You don't believe I can do it, give me a chance. And John Shuck has certainly been a shining light when it comes to restoring, interpreting, conserving, beautification of black cemeteries here in the Richmond region, not just here at Woodland, in the Richmond region. And sometimes we find ourselves in meetings and seminars where we are talking about black cemeteries, and wow, over here it's just glorious and everything. We got a good story to tell, but not all cemeteries, ladies and gentlemen, look like Woodland. There's still some black cemeteries around, ladies and gentlemen, that need some TLC, some tender, loving care. But John Shuck, if he's on your team, you don't have anything to worry about. John, it's all yours.
Thank you, Benjamin. Thanks for everybody being here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we find gravestones out here. As you look around, you can see a lot of empty spots in the cemetery that don't have gravestones. And what we do, we use a tool like this to probe in the ground and look for the gravestones because they're sunken. We find gravestones buried up to a foot deep out here. My estimate is we've probably found at least 1,000 buried gravestones so far. And we have access to burial records for all of a monument company that created gravestones, and we have access to those records. And I've gone through those records, I'm still going through them, and there's at least 300 gravestones for this cemetery that we have not found yet. And so what we do, we'll dig them out, We'll clean them off with water and a soft brush, and then I photograph them. I take GPS coordinates, and they all go on a website called Find a Grave, which is tied into Ancestry.com. So if any family member is looking for that grave, now that we've dug it up, a connection can be made. And it happens rather frequently that somebody will look at Find a Grave and say, oh, my grandmother's out here, or my aunt, or whoever, and we can help find them with the GPS coordinates. We can usually get pretty close to where the gravestone is. And so that's how we connect these families. We found, and probably in the last year, we've found very few gravestones that were not buried. In fact, this morning, Kathleen and I found one this morning already, that was buried. So after this ceremony is over, I'll do a demo for digging out gravestones for anybody that's interested. I think we've got a couple over here that may be pretty nice. Just last weekend, a couple of high school students found a nice big gravestone from 1917. And it turned out it was also in the order book. It was ordered a day after the person died. But it wasn't one of these little little white marble ones. It was a bigger stone. And I think maybe that's what else is over there. So, again, if you're looking for somebody out here, you can contact us. We can probe to see if there is a gravestone in the plot. Like I said, we've probably got several hundred we haven't found yet. And I'll put in a plug. We're going to have a preservation workshop at the end of June, free workshop. So if anybody's interested, come and see me later. All right, thank you all.
All right. Well, I'm ready for some more music. Okay. Cora Harvey Armstrong is almost a household name to us here in the Richmond area when it comes to a celebration of African American music, and particularly in the gospel style of music that she brings to bear. And so we're going to call on Cora Harvey Armstrong one more time for something beautiful this afternoon.
I was going to sing a song called Unity, but as I listened to everybody who has spoken so far, and as this is my first time ever seeing the cemetery, didn't even know it was here, and seeing how beautiful it is, and hearing from some of the people what it used to look like, you all have done a marvelous work. So, it has taken some time, but you did not give up. Here we are. A new season starts today, but don't you stop, because God has so much more for all of us to do. The load gets heavy sometimes, but keep working, because help is on the way. Keep on believing in yourself and in this dream. Keep right on believing, because it's closer than it might seem. Just keep moving forward, keep taking a step, and remember that the Lord God is not through with us yet. Keep on believing. Don't stop working now. Keep on believing. Keep volunteering as best you can somehow. Keep on believing in yourself and this God-given dream. God bless you.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. There's nothing wrong with the little music in the Baptist church sometimes. There's nothing wrong with it at all. We've come to the close of this morning's program. There are a lot more things for you to do. On the back of your program are some of the activities that are going to take place here at Woodland Cemetery, one of which is a tour, walking around the cemetery, look and see who all is here, and maybe see something that you can do to help beautify the cemetery. We're going to bring on the mastermind of the whole business as he comes for his final remarks as we close out the program today. And I'm going to step aside without giving us those 5 words, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to sleep on these words tonight, and then you'll know when you're coming back out here. Preservation, keeping something from damage or decay. Conservation, protecting something in its natural environment. Restoration, repairing and renovating something back to its original condition, interpretation, explaining the meaning of something, and finally, beautification, improving the appearance of a place. All of those words, ladies and gentlemen, apply to Woodland Cemetery. We are preserving Woodland Cemetery. We are conserving Woodland Cemetery. We are restoring Woodland Cemetery. We are interpreting Woodland Cemetery. And we are beautifying Woodland Cemetery. Mr. Harris, Marvin Harris, is the mastermind of this whole effort. And I remember when I first met Marvin out here, and I could tell, something's going to happen now. And certainly something did happen during the years that I have gotten to know him, and it has been an extreme pleasure to come out here on any given day. You can find Marvin up here near his truck or somewhere piddling around. And sometimes I say when I pull up here, oh, Lord, Marvin is here. That means I'm going to be here for another 2 hours, because we're going to be talking and talking and talking. And it's a great pleasure. Mr. Marvin Harris.
Thank you, guys. You know, they have given me 3.5 hours to tell y'all the story, but it looks like everybody's about ready to get out in about an hour. So I'm gonna take 45 minutes of that time. We all okay with it? No, let me cut it down to about 3 minutes. Okay. You know, first of all, let me say, seeing the crowd out here, it's heartwarming. I got to tell you this story. I don't have family out, but a lot of these people are associated with me in high school. My high school homeroom teacher is sitting right back there with the white hat. I got one of my best friends out, Jughead. His mother is buried right over here. Stretch Gardner, that kept me on the straight and narrow. Mr. Gardner had a pal about this long, and every time he walked into the homeroom, I got up automatically without him calling my name, because I know I had done something that he was coming to get me. But going back to Woodland Cemetery, I just can't say enough. We got my board members, and most of them have been up here. They were handpicked by God, and they sent them to this project. We got Henrico County, that each and every time I've called them, within 3 minutes, they have agreed to help us. And as you look out here, if you imagine, we couldn't see half of those headstones less than 3 years ago. I had a guy come up to me and he said, Marvin, you'll never get this done. See, first of all, Jug can tell you coming up, you never tell us what we can't do, because that puts that little pressure out there to push us a little further. But we couldn't have gotten there without Henrico, without my board, and I'm gonna tell you, Tom Morant, hey, brother, you've just been a godsend for us out here. Diane, his wife, has allowed him to actually come out, you know, and do this stuff. And his son, Jason, which is in the yellow hat right here, just came in from Hawaii. Recording artist internationally. We had him down here weed eating, cutting grass for about, what, Jason, a couple hours, 4 hours? Now think about that. As busy as he is, he could have been at the hotel, back at home doing whatever. But we could not have gotten to this point without you. Nathan is a part of Virginia Outdoors Foundation. When we first talked to them years ago, the promise was made financially to help us. We need it. We need each and every one of you guys to come out. I would love to have you every day, but we can't do every day, once a month. Now, once a month sounds a lot better than every day, correct? And for those who can't physically come out, financially, maybe you can help us. We got some programs going on today and some more recognition. Deep Run High School has donated a lot of time to help us map out some of these headstones. For the ones that we've found so far, you can go to each one of those students, give them a name, and they can tell you exactly where they're located for the ones we've found. Some of them we'll probably never know the location. But we can't do this by ourselves. I impress upon you, we need your help. We need you. We have a couple of things going on. Grave locations for those who want to see. Mark Schubert will be leading some tours. For those who are interested in the walking tours, and I'll tell you guys a story about that a little bit later, but they're walking, and we'll get you involved on that if you're interested. For those of you that have family out here, we would love for you to go inside the chapel and give us a spiel on the memories you have of that person, where they're located, any memorabilia you might have that we can place in there for a mini museum. And before anything else, John, anything else I need to mention? Okay, but I'm gonna tell you, right over in this site right here, where that container, where that dumpster is, our plans are to start with the young ones. We want to build an educational center over there so we can teach them the history and we can teach them financial literacy. I mean, think about that. I was like probably 23 before I got the spill. That was 22 years too late. I should have started. My parents didn't really know. But we're going to teach these kids how to save. If you're getting $1 a week on allowance, try to save 50 cents of that. So when you get to 18, you go away to college, you have the funding. You want to depend on the parents. You want to depend on scholarships or grants. It's good if you get a scholarship. But I'm going to tell you, without these people around us right now, the board, I'm going to go through them one more time. Tom, you and your family allowing you to come out to help us. It's been Tom, you were out here, 2 days this week, just to get this area looking the way it is right now. Monica mentioned the fact that the county has this program. I called her on, I called Monica like on a Wednesday. Thursday, she had plans out here for the guys to come out and help us out that Thursday. That's how fast they work on this. But keep in mind, when I call them, within a few seconds, they don't have to think about it, and they say, we're with you. We're gonna help you. We need your help. Any questions, any concerns? For those who are here, we really need any statements you can have about family. Mr. Gardner, I definitely want you guys to go in and give a spiel. Jug, if you don't mind, go in and talk about your moms. And his mother is probably one of the ones that helped me keep me straight. Okay? Benjamin, what else you got? Thanks a lot, gang. I appreciate you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out today to be out here with us at Woodland Cemetery. A beautiful day to be out here at Woodland Cemetery. There are a number of activities, got some food trucks showing up. There's a harpist down there where the fountain is. My goodness, can you imagine when the fountain gets ready and starts, that water is flowing at the fountain in the African American cemetery? That is going to be a sight to behold. You don't want to miss that for sure. So we got a harpist down there that's going to be playing some beautiful music for us. Go down, the fountain itself is up, and go down there, hear the music, and see the fountain, and just imagine how much work has already happened just to get that fountain up down there and the water flowing. It's going to be a beautiful sight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a wonderful day, and we're going to see you out here again.